Hi, David.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm waiting for Dennis, but I haven't seen him yet.
Okay.
Hi, David.
And
Oh,
I
you're
have
both in there together.
here. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, David. I mean, Sebastian came over. We did a little recording for our newsletter tomorrow to welcome people to the
oh,
film
great.
festival. So maybe I should take off our background, but the office is so pale. But,
No, I like that. That's fine.
so,
Sebastian, I mean, every now and then I lose Sebastian's head in a wave, but yeah. There he goes.
I like immersing myself in the ocean. So.
Yeah, if you don't have it. So, I mean, Dennis had the right time. He confirmed this morning. Should we give him a few more minutes?
yeah, I think so. And I think he got confused between this and the Q&A.
Which is, all right, so here's the deal. If he doesn't sign on now, let me interview the two of you because I tried to find yours and it, for some reason,
Okay,
it was the one interview I did yesterday that got corrupted. So
Okay.
let me just interview the two of you.
Okay.
Then I can post that. I've already posted the interview with Mimi. Alfredo got it right up.
Oh, perfect. Are we socially distanced enough, though, David? I mean, I know we are,
There's a whole ocean between us.
but there you go.
I think you're fine.
Are we fine? Okay, just making sure, just asking. So
People are all a little sensitive. I just got off the phone with the editor of Palm Springs Life.
yeah.
And Alfredo and I have this, we call it the COVID scale, 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And a 1 would be someone who voted for Trump. It's nothing,
Yeah.
right? It's fake news. A 10 is someone who's not going to go out of their house till 2024, right?
Exactly.
So the guy that I just got off the phone with is a COVID 12.
Oh
Oh my
god.
God.
He's not even hugging his husband.
Oh my god.
So my point is that the range of and we were just talking about everyone's emotional and
yeah.
you do what you can do. But no, I think you're fine. Socially distant. And I'll make a point of saying that we're using special effects. So.
Oh, there you go.
All right. So Sebastian, I do a series of online. I mean, I had my own TV show for 10 years, and during COVID, March and April, for 2 months, we did a show that was produced by Beyond Pix downtown San Francisco, a wonderful studio. Anna just did an interview down there with them. And I have since started doing daily video interviews that I post on social. So about 15, 20 minutes. And each interview starts with the word ahoy and it ends with the word ahoy. So that's when you know it's over. But in between, it's unedited. So we'll just go on. Sebastian, give me your full name. Oh, there's Denis.
Denis. You pronounce it French. Denis.
Pronounce it for me. Denis.
Blacquière. I don't know. Blacquière. I have no idea. It's French, so.
All right, then you know what I'm going to do, Anna? I'm going to let you introduce our interviewees then.
Okay, perfect.
All right, hold on.
That is fine with me. I'd be happy to.
There we go.
Yeah.
Denis, are you there?
Denis?
Denis, can you hear us? Maybe the audio is not connecting.
He's there. I see him. I just don't see I see his name.
We're sending him a message to see if his mic is on.
What did we do before Zoom?
There he is.
There he is. Hello.
We can't hear you, Denis.
Can't hear you.
You might be on mute. I think he can hear us. Tell him bottom left of the screen.
Hello, hello, hello. Do you hear me?
Bonsoir.
Salut, bonsoir.
Bonsoir, bonsoir. You must authorize everything with these softwares, you know, microphone and camera and everything.
I know. I'm married to a technologist, and he said it's amazing that anything works.
Yeah, he's so right. Okay.
Hello,
Denis, pronounce your name for me, since I don't botch it.
Okay, it's Blacquière.
Denis Blacquière, filmmaker
Yes.
Denis Blacquière, and you're in Montreal.
Well, I live in Mont Saint-Hilaire, which is a small near on the south shore of Montreal. So we can say that I live in Montreal or near Montreal.
Got it. All right.
nice.
And the film Thin Ice, correct?
Under Thin Ice.
Under Thin Ice. Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Under.
So
Yeah.
Denis will speak for about 20-25 minutes.
Okay.
It doesn't ever go over half an hour. And the form of the interview is I start every interview by counting down with the word ahoy, and I end with the word ahoy. So that's when you know it's over. And it's going to be a good conversation. I'll try to keep it formatted, but I'm going to start with you, and then I'm going to go to Anna and Sebastian.
Okay.
And David, if I may, just so Denis, when you do the Q&A on Friday
Yes.
with the Canadian consulate
Yeah.
and with Jill, Sebastian is your moderator.
Oh, okay, Sebastian. Hi.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose. Yeah, to chat about the Ocean Film Festival, but also for you two to meet beforehand.
That's great. And Sebastian, because my mind is a sieve, your last name again?
Nicholls.
Nicholls, yeah, it's been a day, sorry. All right, so countdown to start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ahoy, this is David Perry with a continuing series of our online video interviews about how colleagues and artists are getting from what I like to call the great pause into the great return. Well, certainly, San Francisco is known as being a port and ocean city. And one of the great highlights of every spring in San Francisco is the International Ocean Film Festival. And this year, its 17th annual film festival was to take place in March. But of course, what a difference a pandemic will make. So, as I said to someone earlier today, we're making lemonade out of lemons. And with us today, we have several wonderful guests. Ana Blanco, the Executive Director of the International Ocean Film Festival, Sebastian Nicholls, Board Chair, and perhaps most importantly, a very special guest, filmmaker Denis Blacquière, filmmaker of Under Thin Ice. Welcome to you all.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
So, Denis, you're on the spot. Tell us about your film. What is it about, and why is it special to be part of the first virtual International Ocean Film Festival?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank the Ocean Film Festival for choosing our documentary for this important festival. I'm grateful for it, and Gala Film Production also, and the whole crew who worked so hard to bring you this important documentary. Under Thin Ice is a very important documentary because right now humanity is at the crossroads in its fight against global warming. Time is really running out, and we're seeing what's happening in the Arctic. The Arctic is now heating up 2 times as fast as the rest of our planet, and even some parts of the Canadian Arctic is heating up 3 times as fast as the rest of the planet. So the ice is disappearing at an alarming rate. An entire web of life, of the polar web of life, is threatened. The way of life of the Inuit people is also under attack. And what's more important, why is this film very important, is because, you know, all these events, these terrible events, are happening very far from us in the northern regions, where most of us will never go, and even never go on the ice, or even less under the ice, you know, where all kind of life forms are threatened by the loss of the ice. So, and it's very important to understand what's happening right now, because since our big planetary air conditioning system is kind of breaking up. What's happening in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic anymore, because all our climates in the US, in Canada, and in Europe is beginning to be affected with extreme weather events caused by the disappearing of the ice in the Arctic.
Right. So forget. No, please continue, Denis.
Yeah. So this was the idea behind, Under Thin Ice. Take two extreme divers, and bring them up north on the Arctic ice pack, and have them bring the viewer on the ice and see what's happening inside the ice and see what's happening under the ice, where nobody will ever have the chance to go. So by showing filming in 4K with drones and everything, so the viewer can come face to face with all the animals, which are threatened. Kind of close encounters of the cold kind.
Yeah, well, I can tell, Denis, as a filmmaker, you should be in PR. You keep throwing out taglines like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but what happens in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic. So you're well on your way to being a quote maker. I can see that. Anna, Sebastian, besides the joyful job of picking films that take place as part of the International Ocean Film Festival, and this year there are 54, and I think it's important for people to understand that what they're going to be getting, what they're going to be buying and paying tickets for online is exactly what they would get if they were in their seats at the Cal Theater. All 54 films are being shown this year. Besides the joyful part of your job, selecting these films, what has it been like since March 13th, that fateful Friday, March 13th, when you and your board heard about COVID? How has it impacted what you do, and what is some of the silver linings that is coming out of it?
Well, it's interesting, David, because we never thought that we would have to cancel or postpone the film festival, but we knew at the time that we had to. And since then, we've actually, quite honestly, been hosting online films free to the public almost 4 or 5 times since March. It was important to me, it was important to our board to still deliver the films, to still showcase the amazing work of filmmakers like Denis, to give thanks to the sponsors who helped to make the film festival possible. And so therefore we decided to launch this virtual film festival. Some of the silver linings have been so interesting. Usually we do a film festival for 4 days. Now we get to do 11 days. So 11 days of pretty much video on demand. People can watch the films whenever they want. We have over 14 Q&As with filmmakers like Denis, ocean leaders, etc. And because everyone's gotten comfortable doing interviews online, everyone's at home, everyone's available. So it gives us an opportunity to talk to people around the world about the important issues that are coming up in the films themselves. So it's really a great opportunity to learn about the oceans and to just see what you can do to get involved and to help take action.
Yeah, and I'll just add, if I can, David.
Of course.
At our core, we're about connecting people to powerful stories. Our oceans are in trouble, our environment is in trouble. The stories like the one that Denis tells through Under Thin Ice are so important, and so we wanted to make sure that even though we can't do things in person, we can still bring these stories, we can still bring these experiences, we can still bring these themes to our audience. So even though we haven't been in person, we've had discussions about marine protection, how to better protect highly migratory species, sharks that travel thousands of miles. We'll have this one about the Arctic and about climate change that is an extremely urgent issue. We've seen with the pandemic, there's a lot of meetings that have been delayed, not just film festivals, but political forums where decisions about climate change and other issues happen. And so those are delayed, but the urgency of the issues is not delayed. And so we're trying to bring these stories and help keep people engaged so that we can do the work that's needed to save our oceans one film at a time.
Denis, I have traveled extensively. I worked aboard ship for many years. I spent a lot of time in Canada. How different is the perception of the danger of climate change and the the thawing Arctic as perceived in Canada versus just a little bit south of the border here in the United States?
Well, I think that the problem is a bit the same. Although, you know, every Canadian knows about the Canadian Arctic, you know, I think that most Canadians don't realize how a fantastic land is the Canadian Arctic, and how stunning and incredible this region is. Most people don't realize that the part of the Arctic Ocean owned by Canada, if you took that and put it on the map of Canada, it would cover 41% of Canada, you know. So they don't realize how huge and how fragile this whole ecosystem is. And one reason, and I come back to what I said earlier, is that even for Canadians, it's very difficult and very costly to go and visit the Great Canadian North, although it's a fantastic place, and I'm sure that the Inuit people would love to have more tourists and everything. So a film like Under Thin Ice is important because now people can get a much better feeling of how fantastic the land is, and the beauty and what life is thriving there. But I think that if the Canadian government wants to really help Canadians and other people get to love the Arctic and protect it and wish to protect it, well, they should have a kind of a monetary incentive or tax breaks for airplane tickets or what have you, so that more and more Canadian and international tourists go and visit the Canadian Arctic.
Yep. Sebastian, since we're talking about money, I know you as board chair feel this more acutely than anyone. I've been on a number of nonprofit boards in my life, and I led one for 10 years. And I've always said that the definition of a good board member is someone who understands the 3 Gs: give money, or get off the board. What is it like fundraising during the middle of, you know, superlatives kind of leave us, but we can honestly say the worst pandemic in 102 years and the worst economic crisis since Franklin Roosevelt's first term?
It's a real challenge, David, and you know it's all about that. Funding is essential to any activity, particularly mission-driven activities, as nonprofits do. Our work is still just as necessary and urgent. We think that we still have to do everything we can to save our oceans one film at a time, and so we're under pressure to keep the funding coming in. We have some really great supporters that came in for the 2020 International Ocean Film Festival. And we're thinking of creative ways to engage our donors virtually and finding ways to connect. The Virtual Ocean Film Festival, I think, is a really exciting opportunity because it can allow a lot more people to tune in at their houses on their own time with the popcorn in the microwave and the beer popping out of their fridge, and connect to the ocean from their own couch, be at the Arctic in your home. And so we hope that having a really big audience for our virtual film festival is going to allow us to continue to do the important work that, as Denis eloquently said, is so important because our oceans are under threat.
Anna, when you first saw Under Thin Ice, what did you think? Did you know instantly this had to be part of the festival?
As a matter of fact, yes, David, I did. What is so interesting about the film is this amazing cinematography. I mean, you feel like you are standing on that ice. And what I love the most about it is like Denis said, most people aren't going to ever go to the Arctic, right? So what you learn in the film about the marine life, the Inuits, how they live, the impact of climate change on the ice sheet is such a rare opportunity for us to be able to see this film, appreciate it, learn from it, and then have it stay with us like a lot of really good storytelling does. What's really exceptional is that Jill Heinerth is in the film. She's a famous Canadian diver. And I have to go back to the marine life. I fortunately had the opportunity to go to Russia for the film festival. And I met many belugas, and to see belugas in the Arctic was just amazing because they're beautiful animals, and it's film that helps us to see these amazing animals that most people would never ever get to see. And the story is important because, you know, climate change is real. We're very fortunate in this case to have the Canadian Consulate of San Francisco. They've been a sponsor for a long time. Canada is very active in the oceans. You know, we're going to have our conversation on Friday, a live session Q&A, if I may put a little word out for that. So it'll be an interesting conversation to talk about the political side of things and the geopolitical side of things, but also what can we do to not only protect these spaces and to see how beautiful they are. So yes, when I first saw it, I knew we had to show it. It is a Bay Area premiere for us. It has not shown in the Bay Area prior to this. And it's just magnificently beautiful. And not only Jill, but Mario, the other diver, they do a fantastic job just telling us the story and the way they engage with each other. Highly respected. They have a lot of fun as divers, and it just takes you to places that you would never ever be able to go to. So,
Denis, in our last few minutes, I want to talk about something that Anna alluded to, the vibrancy of sea life. I remember when I worked aboard ship one day, I'll never forget it. The captain cut engines and we glided into the middle of a pod of 21 humpback whales. And just being there with them for an hour, floating, having them come up, it just takes my breath away even still thinking about it. And when we think about saving our oceans, we think about marine life, but also a part of your film is about, you've talked about it, the people. There are people who live in the Canadian Arctic that depend upon this ecosystem. In our last few minutes, talk about the people who are impacted by what is going on in the Arctic and who are part of your film.
Well, it's terrible what's happening to the Inuit people there in the Arctic, because the 4 pillars of their civilization are crumbling apart, you know. The ice is disappearing, the land is melting down, the weather is now completely unpredictable, and the animals are changing their behavior and migratory patterns. So for the Inuit people, it's an attack on all fronts on their way of life. And you know, for Inuit people, fishing and hunting they don't do that for pleasure. It's a way of life. And we mustn't forget that the ice for the Inuit people are highways on which they can travel during the winter to hunt and visit some other villages and things like that. And when the ice is melting and getting more fragile, it's very dangerous to travel on the ice. As you will see in the film, even us, the crew members, we were, you know, traveling on ice full of water with large cracks, and we were over 300 meters of freezing water then. So for the Inuit people, it's very bad, because and even in the summer, now the weather is getting worse very rapidly. So if you are on a large bay or something with your small boat, it's very dangerous, because if the wind changes very quickly, this wind can blow up a chunk of ice on your boat. And there was a time when the ancient could predict the weather just by looking at the sky, but now they cannot do it anymore. And the animals aren't there when they're supposed to be there. And this was a problem when we were filming. We had very experienced Inuit guides, but we were flabbergasted because, you know, what the walrus herd, which was there all the time a few years back, they're not there anymore. And so we had a very tough time finding the animals. And and also, well, for the polar bears also, it's very difficult now because the ice is disappearing. They cannot hunt as many seals as they used to do. So all kind of things are changing for the Inuit people, and things look very bad. So this is why we must all come together and do our best to fight against climate change. You know, because of our way of life, every one of us, Canadians or American, it's been calculated that we are responsible for the disappearing of 500 square feet of ice per year, just because of our way of life. Every woman, child, and man, we are. So we must always imagine that we are on this little raft of ice, and we are responsible for keeping it afloat by changing our habits and things like that. And this is what we hope the people will do, and the government must do things also.
Well, hopefully films like Under Thin Ice and filmmakers like Denis Blacquière will help us do that. Anna and Sebastian, before we close, tell us a little bit about, just in general, what we're going to see besides Denis' wonderful film over the next 10 days of this festival.
So we're going to see amazing films. We have over 10 featured films. We also have programs. So if you're interested in seeing films that specifically focus on marine wildlife, others that focus on surfing, we have a fantastic shark program as well. And for the first time, we actually have a shorts program where there's about 15 films, and all of the films are less than 10 minutes long, I believe. So a lot of variety. We have over 14 Q&As. Everything is posted on our website. And there's something for everyone, is what I like to say. So whatever your interest might be for the ocean, there's going to be a film about it.
Yeah, and I'll add, the Q&As are really exciting. We'll be talking about everything from Arctic issues and the fragility of those key ecosystems that are so essential for all life on Earth, but for human survival. We have Q&As about specific places that are under threat, about the Humboldt archipelago in Chile, about places in Peru that are key surf breaks and important for the marine biodiversity, and about all kinds of themes, encounters with big animals, surfing, sharks. So it's an opportunity you can't miss to get yourself immersed in the ocean from your couch.
Thank you so much. Denis Blacquière, filmmaker, Anna Blanco, Sebastian Nicholls, International Ocean Film Festival. Thank you both. We look forward to the films, and we know you can find them on your website. I love the new URL you're using this year, virtualoceans.org. So remember that and check it out. Everyone, thank you for being with us. Bonsoir, à bientôt. Ahoy.
Thank you.
Ahoy.
We're closed. Thank you. That was great.
Thank you. Can I take one quick photo, David, if you don't mind? Just a real quick photo.
Sure.
Thank you all. Thank you, everyone, so much. That was fun. That was fun, David. Thanks for re-mentioning the URL. I forgot about that.
Well, that's why you have a PR person.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, I mean, I know we've got one more scheduled, but if you have any more that you would like, just let me know. I want to do some more of these, or if something I mean, we're all Zoomed to the eyebrows. But if you come up and you need someone to moderate or something, let me know over the period, especially on the weekend. I want to keep this going and reminding people. Every day I want to do more. So I know we talked about me doing 3, but I'll do more.
Okay.
So if something comes up, text me or whatnot, and we'll throw them in the Zoom room.
Yeah, because, we have a lot of, everybody wants to be a part of it. It's a party. Everybody wants to come to the party, and everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants to share their stories. And so I'll definitely take you up on that, David.
Right.
And,
nice to see you all. Thanks, Denis. I appreciate you being up late.
Thank you. Well, not that late.
See you on Friday, Denis.
Yeah.
It's never late to save the planet and the oceans.
There you go. Ciao.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
Bye.
so much. Appreciate it.